Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and through you to the members, and I rise in opposition of engrossing this bill. I want to address a few of the comments that were made by the gentleman from Falmouth earlier, having to do with hypocrisy and having to do with flip-flopping of votes. There's a slightly different way to look at it. I look at it as if we should not be making substantive changes in law based upon individual decisions and individual feelings about the moment. We should not be changing laws because of a given situation that is before us, because of a certain political party who's in power now or a certain individual who's running for a certain office. So going back to 2004, which closely resembles this evening, where we had the party in power changing the law, the well-settled law, for their own political expediency, simply because they can. Simply because they have the number of votes and they have the political power and pressure to make sure that they deliver those votes to meet their current needs. Back in 2004, there was a change in the law because we had a Republican governor and we had one of our senators running for president, and it was possible that that senator would win and we would have a vacancy. And because of the political reason that this body and the powers to be didn't want a Republican appointing a Republican, that the pressure was put on to rush to judgment and change the law. And just very similar to tonight, where we're in day 2 of this legislative day, I recall back in 2004 that we did 4 days, because it was even a bigger rush then that we had to get it done. And we did it because the majority party wanted to do it, they could influence their members to do it, and they did it. And so what did my party do at the time? We opposed that. One of the reasons that I opposed it was because I don't think we should change laws because of individual times and circumstances. I don't think every time something changes in society that we should rush in here and change it to meet our political needs. Fast forward to 2009. The majority party is changing the law again, with some apologies, with some individuals saying that they were wrong in 2004, and I appreciate that, but that's not really what's going on here. What's really going on here is the majority party is changing the law because they can. And the gentleman from Boston earlier in the debate regarding the qualifications clause so much as suggested that it's okay to change the law in 2004 and 2009 and maybe into the future, because it's okay to do it if it's political expedient. And those are the privileges that go along with being the majority party. So what is the minority party, the Republican Party, doing? What are we saying here tonight? We're saying the same thing that was said in 2004, that we should not change the law, we should not change the rules, we should not change the games in the middle. And I find it somewhat interesting, and I'll just use the word interesting so I can be appropriate, that no one since 2004 until Senator Kennedy passed, no one in 2004, 2005, 6, 7, 8 was calling to change the law because we had some bad policy on our books. In fact, when Senator Kerry was running for president and absent from the Senate, I don't recall too many voices from this chamber or from anywhere in the majority party saying that we needed 2 U.S. senators and Senator Kerry should resign. I didn't hear the calls then that we have to have 2 U.S. senators at all times. I didn't hear anyone calling from this chamber or the other party when Senator Kennedy received his diagnosis of his medical condition and even his own admission that he wasn't able to go to Washington to serve. I didn't hear anyone saying that the senator should resign, the senator should put his letter in of resignation so we can get this election going, because we have to have 2 U.S. senators at all time. And I'm not suggesting that we should have said that. I'm just pointing out, if there's any hypocrisy here, I don't think it's rightly pointed at the minority party. We have been consistent in 2004 and now saying you should not change the rules of engagement in the middle of the game. And our opponents, I'm not going to say all of you because 46 of you voted with us, so we are the bipartisan group here tonight. But those of you who voted and will vote to change the law, in essence are saying we can change the law then, now, because we're the majority party. We can do it whenever we want to. And you know what? We can suspend the rules. We can make legislative days like that. We can do whatever we want, and that's the way it is. And that is disappointing. If this is such a great idea to have an interim senator, and that's kind of a substantive discussion that has been missing from this debate, missing from the debate of the last few weeks in public, whether or not this is a good idea or not. It's been more about politics, certainly, from both sides of the aisle. But if this is a good idea, we can solve this, but we just rejected that amendment. We could have solved that and said, we hear you. We're not going to change the rules. We're not going to use our supermajority power to run roughshod over the rules of engagement, and we're going to adopt this law change effective after this special election. That was rejected. And we wonder why people have a cynical view of us as an institution. And I think the longer that you're here, the less it impacts you. But it still bothers me when we just suspend the rules. It still bothers me when we create new days. It still bothers me when we change our votes to meet our political needs. And it should bother you. We've been playing politics all day. And people have been being counted and persuaded and cajoled and promised and pledged whatever to do whatever. Not because it's the right thing to do for the Commonwealth. Because if it was the right thing that we needed 2 U.S. senators at all time, we would have had this discussion in 2004, 2005, 2006, 7, 8, maybe when John Kerry was running, maybe when Senator Kennedy received a diagnosis. But we didn't. So now we need 2 U.S. senators. Why? I'll leave that up for you to decide, but I think it's obvious why. It's obvious that there's a vote coming up in the United States Senate regarding health care. And it's going to be close, if you believe the media reports. And so why do we need 2 U.S. senators right now when we didn't need them before, and that no one cared enough to bring this issue before? It's because of politics. It's because of phone calls. It's because of Washington wanting something from Massachusetts. It's because of Washington wanting 12 yes votes on this health care bill. And we shouldn't be discussing that today. We shouldn't be discussing anything but what is the best public policy for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and its citizens. But we didn't. We played politics in this chamber. And that is indeed disappointing. I'm going to remain consistent as I was in 2004 and stand here and say we should not change the law in midstream. We should not change the rules of engagement when the election process has started. We should have substantive discussions about this, and if we were serious, we should make it prospective.